Leftover lasagne.
Leftover lasagna.
Lasagna? No way.
It's a type of sandwich.
Some kind of gross pasta.
Leftover lasagna is a
podcast
hosted by
my
Nitin
church
and Tony uncle. Leftover lasagna.
Very funny name.
Hello and welcome to Leftover Lasagna, the podcast that will make you pause and reflect. Because, in case you didn't know, you are having a great hair day. Seriously, this is a podcast that is in its 42nd episode. And before Douglas Adams fans throw in the towel on this podcast, yes, this is the episode that is the answer to life, the universe, and everything. By skipping one entire month of August between the last episode and this one, super. By skipping one entire month between the last episode and this one, we are now personifying the journey of a midlife crisis as one moved from showing early promise to high potential to now wondering what is the point of all this and being labeled by the world under the category what could have been. But enough about Sanju Samson's career. I have a theory that a startup stops becoming a cool place to work when legal starts attending meetings. The same cutoff point for a human life is when you stop doing things and start embracing philosophy. Except if you're a podcast, of course, because then by design, we are here only to discuss, not decide. I am Tony, and joining me, as always, the 5 time non consecutive world champion of the stance shifting extravaganza, the man they call Goalpost Gurumurthy. He moved to Dubai in 2021 but went viral only in 2024. The man they call Dubai Chocolate because he has so many different textures and flavors in one unit that should not work but somehow continues to thrill and drill. He will shred you like phyllo pastry and fill you with the sweetness of milk chocolate. The man who will leave you singing Pista Sumakira Somari Jamakiraya. Say hi, Nitin. So it was either that or
No, please. No, I don't want to. Don't come up. Please. This was bad enough. I don't want to now listen to what you rejected.
so Nitin, have you missed me?
Yeah, absolutely. I missed the intros. Talking about legal attending meetings, I hear that these days even legal departments have started making, using ChatGPT, they're making like their own flyers and all of that. So HR
Oh,
department has started doing code. I believe a lot of this kind of stuff is happening at workplaces. But have you seen this happening at in your workplace? Do you see people overstepping boundaries and
yeah.
bowling no balls?
Well, the less we talk about work, the better at this point in time. But speaking of work or lack of, he skipped an entire month, man. What is happening? This was the
You're making
podcast
it
that is
sound like it's
supposed
some
to.
cardinal sin or something. It's okay, man. Yeah.
You're making it sound like cardinal sins are actually like important.
Yeah, what cardinal sin? I think it's all completely fine. I'm sure our esteemed listeners enjoyed our August absence.
Oh, uh, our
Yeah.
esteemed listeners might have understood, but our steamed listeners were shouting more, more because they were missing us and saying they wanted more of us. But
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
am just dumpling all the jokes that I've kept pent up in the last 1 month. Today might be the last episode of LOL ever. Because
This is not the first time we have claimed this. As far as marketing strategies for podcasts go,
yeah,
I mean,
correct.
we can come up with a complete playbook of what all should not be done. Like
Not be done.
multiple
Correct.
times,
Correct.
announcing the end of the podcast multiple times, and then anyway coming back and publishing episodes as if
Yeah.
nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
Suddenly going absent without leave for an entire month randomly
Yeah.
out of
Yeah.
the blue. Yeah. Any other pearls that you have, Tony?
No. Today we'll come to the next step in elevating this to how to
Yeah.
kill your own podcast, right? Which is what the entire discussion of today will be. Is that yeah? You remember that famous saying, right? That one time you went out to play with all your friends in childhood without realizing it was the last ever time. But imagine if there's one guy who said, you know what, guys, I think today is the last time we'll ever go out to play together. And it actually happened. Then 20 years later, you're remembering that guy saying, wow, what a prescient fellow. Prescient Prashant DP. was correct only. So I think statistically, it's better to keep predicting the end of the podcast every episode because
Okay.
at
You
some
can always
point
say, I
you'll
told you so. Yeah.
correct. Yeah, like if you had done this on Dream11 and you had actually just got
Oh,
one bet that paid off, you would have become
correct.
rich in the past,
Correct.
not anymore because
Correct.
Dream11
Yeah.
doesn't do that anymore. But what I wanted to, why I'm saying this is the end of the podcast, is today we are tackling a subject that has divided people on your Instagram feed, let us say. Why I'm saying Instagram is because over a period of time, right? I think in the last tumultuous, I don't know, 8 to 10 years, as it were, our social media feeds, the social media feeds of our generation, has gone through a cleanup, right? It first started
Oh.
with like, what? No, fuck off.
What I'm looking at now is a cleaned up version. Then, please, there is still so much garbage there. What got cleaned?
Yeah, of course there is garbage, but like you did like a cleaning based on like political leanings, based on liberal conservative views, based on generally is this a selfish person or not, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Today it is difficult to sort of find your feed where things are annoying you and sort of disagreement to you,
Except
right?
that
Because
every social network has moved to a for you feed now. So it doesn't matter. They know how to give you the poison that you have struggled hard to remove from your life.
you know how improv works is that someone just throws out a premise and then you agree with it and you build on it. Okay, you don't in the first instance take one ice bucket and dump it on your partner's head and say, okay da, now you come up with something else. They waste
Okay,
fellow.
okay. Okay, let's do it that way. So, Tony, yeah, you're extremely correct and insightful. Please say more about my cleaned up social media feed that is only giving me great joy every day that I stare at
Oh
it.
man. Okay. So actually, the point is that you sort of self-select into groups that are at minimal conflict with you, right? Because that's the only way to maintain peace. Because you realize that over a period of time, the opposite of ignorance is not knowledge that will set you free. It is actually knowledge that will make you conflicted at all points in time, right?
Hmm.
So, scientifically, do you
Hmm.
know that conservatives are happier than liberals, and people who believe in a god are actually much more happier than atheists, right? Because you have a gospel truth and you just follow it, and you are never under conflict, right? So there is
Yeah.
something scientifically called a happiness gap, as it were. So nobody told us that actually by seeking knowledge or asking questions or following your own natural curiosity, you don't end up in a state where you understand things better and therefore you're happier and more content. It is that you reach a level of understanding where you're unsure of everything. And
Yeah.
apparently, this is the ultimate state of being, right? Where you're unsure of everything and you're questioning your place, which very quickly you'll answer to say there is no meaning at all. Therefore, you're struggling to sort of establish how to continue in this world where there is actually no payout for uh, you know asking questions, and there is no payout in a future world either because you don't believe in an afterlife. So this is the next level of that trope, right? Is that what I'm saying is by virtue of that you wanted to minimize conflict. So at least I sort of cleaned up my feed of everyone who had like a you try to engage with them in debates, discussions, and you when you see that they are basically, I wouldn't say incapable, but based on their disposition they're not going to sort of have a meaningful debate with you. They're probably going to
Hmm.
sea lion you into debates which you don't want to get into, and you yourself value your mental peace more than anything else, right? So this was
Hmm.
interesting because the discussion that we wanted to come to is about street dogs and the Delhi High Court verdict, where
Right.
most of your Instagram feed in one went in one direction, Nitin, and the rest of us sort of had our conversations on WhatsApp groups because it was a strange time, right? Because the popular take on Instagram uh, was that. Basically the Delhi High Court said that you should take the dogs off the streets into whatever animal shelters and rehabilitate them. But the streets should be clean because so many X number of dog bites have happened, and that's not a healthy atmosphere to be in. Especially kids are the ones getting bitten, that, this, and the other. Right? Obviously,
Yeah.
mad outrage ensued on our Instagram feeds where people said, "What rubbish! I know a dog. He's very friendly." Okay, that's actually a strongman version of the argument. But generally, I've seen street dogs. They don't. They are not violent if you behave properly with them,
Correct.
etc., etc.
If you're wearing a tie and your fork and knife, and if you show good manners, then they are also polite with you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think generally, Nitin, you and I strangely had the same view on this, which is why to bring it to a podcast, you have to sort of look at the larger spectrum of things and talk
Do
about.
we have the same view on this? I don't know.
Okay, tell. We'll find out. The moment I say something, you'll say the opposite. So.
No, no. Uh, I don't know. I mean, my considered view, which I think
Oh,
maybe.
your considered view is I don't know. Actually, validates what I said previously, that the
Yeah,
path of
exactly.
knowledge leads you to
Leads you
more
to dead ends.
uncertainty.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. True that. No, my more considered view, I think, after having spent some time thinking about this, is it is a knee-jerk reaction. Sure, stray dogs are a problem. There's no question about it. But I don't think the ruling or the people who come up with the ruling have thought through what it means. There is of course the operational challenge of enforcing this ruling, which
Hey, you've
people have
already
pointed out.
changed your stance. Lovely. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
good.
absolutely. Let's leave aside that operational challenge, right? Even if you assume operationally it is something that can be pulled off, and there are going to be well-equipped dog shelters, reality is likely to be like terrible places where these dogs are going to be housed, probably to not very rosy futures. The issue is the stray dog menace has not come up in isolation, right? There's a reason why you have hordes of dogs that have taken over these streets. They are the same streets which are taken over by a lot of other things that shouldn't ideally be there in the numbers that they are in, right?
Hmm.
Uh,
Right.
whether that is garbage, whether that is pigeons, whether that is rats, whether that is monkeys, and so on. Removing one part of this ecosystem is not going to make a difference, right? There was this video, I don't know if you saw it. I saw it for the first time yesterday, and I don't know if it's a
Hmm.
real video. We are living in strange times. But there
Hmm.
was this street somewhere in Delhi, apparently, where stray dogs have been removed. I don't know if it's
Hmm.
entirely made up. I don't even know if the dogs have actually been removed yet.
Yeah.
But that street is now taken over by monkeys. Right?
Hmm.
There are like armies of monkeys patrolling that street, and someone
Right.
has taken a video from the top floor.
Hmm.
And the thing is, when the dogs were there, the monkeys were not having free reign over the streets. And now it is actually far more dangerous because
Yeah.
these monkeys are not actually tame animals, unlike most street dogs tend to be.
Hmm.
So they've pretty much come up with a 4 week kind of limit, right, to impose the solution. So leaving aside the emotional argument, which is, yeah, I know a friendly dog, so all dogs are friendly, and I pet dogs, and I mean, I have people in my family who absolutely love dogs. I myself am more of a, I'll maintain my healthy distance from animals of all kind, and also from most human beings, to be honest. But
But so
yeah, but
when people
definitely animals.
describe you as an animal lover, they don't mean that you love animals. Hmm. Okay. Now I understand.
I didn't get the joke. What's the joke? There's a referring to my love for Ranbir Kapoor's movie, which I think was unfairly pilloried for wearing its heart on its sleeve.
Saying that you're an animal in bed, therefore you're an animal lover. Okay. No, so as usual, you're coming at it from the solution point of view. Huh.
No, no, I'm not. I am not giving a solution because I'm saying the solution is not a solution. Right? How is this a solution point of view? What are- Hey,
Correct. No, you're
I think
evaluating the
no.
solution.
Everyone is see. So there is a equilibrium, right? There's a steady state equilibrium that we are all living in. Sure,
Hmm.
it might not be the most convenient one. I think all of us have experienced being chased by packs of stray dogs in the night while riding. I've definitely had to cycle very fast sometimes in
Yeah.
Bangalore to escape stray dogs, and
Yeah.
my heart starts beating like crazy when that happens. And on my motorbike, and sometimes even right outside my parents' home in Bangalore, where I used to stay, there used to be a pack of dogs, and there was, in fact, a rabid dog, which not a rabid dog, but there was a problem dog, which
Hmm.
bit quite a few people, and it became a bit of an issue. So we've all experienced this uneasy equilibrium with stray dogs out there, but it is an equilibrium for a reason, right? And I think blindly removing one part of that equilibrium is not going to change things. It is going to create new problems which nobody has thought through. So when a ruling of this sort comes, right, it's not like this ruling came about in any organic way or anything. It came out of the blue, right? And I mean, my cynicism is that the Indian media right now, and with the political establishment running the way it does, a lot of these things are coming through to try and distract people from something else. I think lots of people have called this out. Whenever, there's one big bugbear that everyone kind of goes behind, it's because something much bigger needs to sort of slip under the radar, right? In this case,
Yeah.
it could be I don't know, the voter ID
Yeah.
controversy or whatever. I don't even know. I'm not tracking any of these things. But this came out of the blue, and everybody's reaction also is very knee jerk in the sense of both sides, right? Nobody's really willing to think through, hey, hang on a second, why did this come about out of the blue? And
Mm.
why should we implement something out of the blue? It's not like things have suddenly escalated and gone out of hand. It's not like COVID, right? That it just came and you had to take drastic measures over a period of 3 to 6 months to because it was a survival battle. So that sense, I don't think any of us on either side of the spectrum should take very strong points of view on this situation, because I don't think any of us knows
Yeah.
entirely where this is coming from or what it takes to truly solve what is a multi-headed problem. I don't think stray
Yeah.
dogs is the problem, right? There is a lot more
Okay.
to it.
No, so reiterating what I said before, as usual, you've come at it from the solution side of things, which is very uninteresting to me, right? Like,
I have not committed from the solution. I'm sure you are uninterested, but I didn't commit it from a solution side. And I literally said this is not the solution. Right. Yeah. I didn't give a solution. But yeah.
you're evaluating the solution anyway, right? Which is not the
I'm
point.
not evaluating the
Like,
solution. I'm evaluating what has happened and why and how and why we are reacting to it.
no, but the point is, how do you think about, so when you say it is a knee jerk reaction, right? Or when you say there is a reaction at all, right? The question that is more interesting is how should you think about such a situation, right? It's not that why is this coming to disturb me is like external to the system that we are discussing, right? The question is, if such a question comes up, how do you think about it, and what is the correct way to sort of approach it with a response that you might initially have, and then you hear the counter views, and then how do you sort of arrive at a calibrated view, right? That is the basic premise of any Socratic dialogue, as it were, right? Otherwise, you can just say anything about every decision that is made by every government to say, it is a knee-jerk reaction. That this is like very tropish, right? You're trying to understand from a personal point of view. How do you think about it? Given, like you said, one that you have let's say a fear of dogs, and you have like seen things outside, and then there are other people saying that they haven't seen something, like, but the whole point is that the seeing or not seeing is immaterial, right? The question here is, how do you approach a situation like this, and how do you sort of channelize your empathy, as it were, right? How, so if you are looking at numbers, for instance, like the last year in Delhi alone, apparently there were 68,000 68090 dog bites, right? 68,090 dog bites, right? And
It's irrelevant, man. I mean,
why is it
your
irrelevant?
the stat is not. It is whatever it is. You're not saying anything different from what I said. Your approach to this
Hey, why are you
is in no
fighting?
way
One
different.
second.
I'm not. I'm responding. It is in no way different to what I was saying. Yeah.
No, it's not. The point is, you are thinking, what should the government do? Should the government do it or not? I am saying, should your reaction what should your reaction be based on, right? How do you think about a situation like this?
The reason we are talking about this is because the government came up with the ruling. Otherwise, this could have been episode 30, right? Why did we not talk about stray dogs in
So,
episode 30?
so
No, no, so. The reason we are talking about is because it's up
of
in
course,
the.
any
Yeah,
topic that we discuss is because it is emerged in popular consciousness, right? So,
that's exactly my point. The stray dog problem did not emerge today. It
how does it
matters
matter?
because that's what we are all reacting. Even you are reacting to that. You didn't pull out these stats
So
out of the blue, and you didn't have a point
correct.
of view on the situation like
Of
2 months
course not.
back.
So
So we are all reacting to the
So
situation only
no,
right now.
now we are here. How do you think about it? Is the interesting question.
Sure,
Like,
that both of us are
huh.
doing exactly the same thing is what I'm saying. It's
No,
not
but okay.
different.
What is your point of view? That it is immaterial, it shouldn't count. You don't need to think about it at all.
No, that's not what I
Then,
said.
say,
What are you trying to get to here? In the dog situation, there are two ways to look
yeah,
at the problem, right? One
yeah.
is, okay, there is a problem or there is not a problem. If there is a problem, it needs solving. If there's no problem, there's nothing needs to be done.
No, it needs solving. Need not necessarily be a black and white thing, right? It is, how do you think about a complex situation like this, where there are multiple sort of parties and stakeholders involved.
That's exactly where I was coming from.
Okay, I don't know why you're feeling attacked.
I'm not feeling attacked.
So you're saying stats are irrelevant. You're saying government is
No, no,
making
I'm
some
not.
noise.
I'm not
That,
saying it's
huh.
irrelevant. No, you go ahead and take it forward. You said you have a more interesting way to approach this.
Okay, I'm saying what is uninteresting to me is what solution the government makes. What is more interesting to me, what is relevant to each individual person, is how they think about something like this. That is where my interest
Okay.
lies, right?
Okay. Good.
I am not interested in solutionizing for an entire population or a country, because that is like a pointless exercise in itself. Whereas how you think about something like this is informative, because it reveals how you can think about things and how people think about things. How, if not consensus is built, how do you get to alignment, or do you just automatically shut off all debate about everything if your tribe agrees with you? Right. That's basically where I'm coming from.
Okay. Cool.
Right. So therefore, the whole point around this being,
So there are sorry, repeat the number. Sorry, I cut you off earlier. 62,000 dog
no,
bites.
in Delhi alone, there were 68,090 dog bites, which is a 40% increase over the previous year. Right. So, and essentially the problem here being that the people who are on Instagram are not necessarily the same ones who are most vulnerable to a street dog attack. Right. The
Yeah.
people who are on Instagram, by definition, I would sort of argue, are also in the gated communities India, which is
Yeah.
essentially what all people, according to that famous tweet, try to get into. Right, is that you want to be in India, but you want to be outside of India, and gated communities is the number one example where you have like a very very different kind of setting and feeling, right? And by definition, most of us would also have cars, so even if a dog is chasing you, it's not like, I mean, they'll just exhaust themselves and go away, right? There's the real people who are exposed to this are not necessarily the ones living in gated communities, probably the house help that comes to your house, or their
Yeah. The
kids,
delivery
and
guys.
especially
Yeah.
kids are the most vulnerable when they play in streets, right? Therefore, my whole point of view, my whole position starts from the fact that your lived experience is not necessarily the lived experience of everyone in the country, and therefore any sort of starting position has to extend empathy to say, I may not have experienced this, but if this number exists, there is a real problem, right? That's my starting point.
Yeah. I don't think anybody is denying this. This is like the only people who will deny this are the people who participate in Vijay TV, Nia Nana debates. By the way, do you know there is this show? Sorry, digression, but Star Vijay. I think it is Star
Yeah.
Vijay. I don't know. So there is this show called Nia Nana, which is
Hmm.
basically a debate show. Okay, that has
Okay.
been going on for I think many years in Tamil. I think it's a weekly show. It's hosted by this guy called Gobinath, right? Gobi, Gobinath, not Gopinath. Gobinath is a slightly portly guy. He has a very typical South Indian mustache. Wears a
Oh,
coat.
that guy.
Wears a suit and
Cooling glass.
no cooling. Munja par. He wears a suit and he conducts a debate. It's apparently I've never watched it, but I've heard that amongst all the lowest common denominator kind of content that you tend to see on television, this one is actually a fairly reasonably well run kind of debate, and
Hmm.
it doesn't
Hmm.
disintegrate into whatever fish market
Oh,
level
really?
debate
Oh, it's a good show. Okay.
by their standards, right? It's like saying like Maharaja is a good film by Tamil standards, Tamil film standards, like that kind of thing, right? You get what I mean. There are bad films, and then there are other films that are considered to be better than the bad films, right? So that way. So there, they did an episode last week on the dog issue, and
Oh,
apparently
wow, really?
it is their TRP chart buster of all time. And I'm seeing clips of, and so to your point of cleaning up your timeline and all of that, my Twitter timeline is full of small clips from that one, where people are making absurd arguments, like dog parents are making very strange arguments, and they actually got someone who lost a child, or the
Hmm.
child got bitten very badly by a dog, also in the debate and representing the other side. So anyway, correct. So I said the only people who disagree with your starting point, it's a valid starting point, it's good that you stated it, would be the
Yeah.
people who argue without any depth on Nia Nana on Star Vijay. So, but yeah,
Correct.
fair. It does need to be stated. Yeah.
No, so just to extend this argument, right, by default, then coming to your thing about equilibrium, is that by default, all cities and human civilization exist in a conflict of man versus nature, right?
Yeah.
Where I am staying currently, there are a bunch of new sort of gated communities that have come up, are coming up. I think, if I'm not wrong, 90 to 95% of these are on illegally reclaimed mangrove lands, right?
Of
Basically,
course.
you'll have a real estate builder, you'll have a government, they'll be bribed happily, like you sort of flatten mangroves, which are essential to the ecosystem, and then you build gated communities. All of us
Correct.
stay in those gated communities,
Correct.
and then sort of rile against what
Yeah.
is outside of me, right? So if my family unit, yeah,
On that, yeah, but on that same note, right? Bangalore is, of course, at one point of time was the
city of
city
lakes.
of lakes, right? Now, a lot of those lakes don't even exist anymore because a lot of the lake beds have been illegally reclaimed, right? With sand mining happens from the lakes, so lakes disappear. They actually do construction. Apartment complexes get built on lake beds. People buy them
Correct.
like nice posh
Correct.
apartments. People live there
People as in
to the extent
we,
that most we yeah
the
me
Instagram
I live in
community.
I used to live in
Correct.
one of those, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Until I left India, and if I were in India I would be living in one of those. To the extent that, I mean, this doesn't absolve anyone of the crime, but to the extent that the people buying don't even know that the
Correct.
up to 30-40 years back, they used to the place where they were living used to be like proper lakes.
Absolutely.
Now people rant that, there is flooding and all these issues when it rains, when there's a little bit of rain in Bangalore. But that is inevitable because lake beds are lake beds, or were lake beds for a reason. Water will eventually find a way to go and hang out in the lake beds, right? So yeah, it's the
Correct.
same thing. It's happening everywhere.
Absolutely. So essentially, there is a fundamental hypocrisy in our existence, right? And I think probably a good starting point of for this is the first maybe 3 episodes of the Mind Your Buffalo podcast, where this person
Oh,
who calls himself the Buffalo intellectual
yeah.
speaks about how there is this whole Savarna culture that is apparent, right? And when you listen to him, I think you don't need to listen to too many episodes because
Yeah, he says the same thing several times colorfully. Yeah.
correct is that there are several sort of tropes that are associated with us in the, I mean, not necessarily the caste sense of the term, but generally in terms of the posh upper class kind of behavior where everything becomes tropish and there is a very banal kind of trope to it, right? So the point being that all of us exist in hypocrisy because this is a, to me, it is a man versus nature argument, right? And therefore, whenever man versus nature comes, if you're saying staying ideologically consistent, you're saying yes, man comes first, right? And then we'll find ways to sort of fight nature from not disturbing us, right? And therefore, to your point around equilibrium, a monkey or a dog or any of these external elements that are not supposed to be in uh, human communities are sort of externalities that need to be looked at as part of that man versus nature conflict.
No, you're right. So if I were to just reframe or rather restate the 2 points, two big points you made. One, evidence proves that this did not happen to me is not a valid response to any situation.
Correct. Yeah.
And point number two is, by our very existence and the way we have chosen to lead our lives, we have all we are all on Team Man, and Team Man
Correct.
is basically in a constant battle against nature. And whoever that enemy is that comes from the side of nature, we will deal with it while putting man's requirements up front. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. And this is our basic social contract, right? Is that if a man or a woman or a human violates my rights that have been assigned to me by the social contract that I'm a part of, then there is a legal recourse to it, right? And
Yeah.
legal recourse in the sense that those are also good enough deterrents for people to not commit those crimes, as it were, right? And that's the belief with which we go forward as a society. And if enough people didn't believe in it, then you would have anarchy. You would have a different way of redefining the constitution or way of how we sort of look after ourselves, etc., etc. Right? Whether you're part of a commune or you're part of a country or you're part of whatever, there is a social contract, right? And the fundamental social contract states that I have a recourse, right? Now, when
Yeah.
people in this case are being sort of harassed slash bitten slash whatever by an external force, it becomes incumbent on us as the community to sort of solve this problem in a manner that puts, in my view, humans first.
Hmm. Agreed. Yeah.
So the point being, when you are saying that, uh, I think that this is a serious problem, and the Delhi High Court highlighted it, and therefore, how do you approach this? My view would be that if push comes to shove, you need to take the dogs away first, right? Because
Hmm.
you are saying that there are very real human casualties to this, and there is a way in which you cannot solve for this because the infrastructure is such that it is very inefficient and dogs do not get vaccinated or etc be made safe for human habitation. Therefore, how do you sort of approach this problem? That is where I come from, is basically what I was saying.
I get that.
Now you are agreeing with everything.
I never disagreed with you. It's given. Whatever you're saying is
Yeah,
absolutely the baseline. Yeah, I agree.
the point is that most people sort of react to a situation based on their understanding of things,
Which
and
is fine.
rightly so. And I mean, I am equally culpable of the same thing, right? And there are inherent biases to our existence, and sort of how do you come out of that is probably where I wanted to ask the question, right? Your
Hmm.
own view in this case changed and evolved over a period of time. So how did that happen?
I do agree with the points that you've made, in the sense that it is a problem, you know, not in the interest of finding solutions, but the only solution is to go back 40, 50 years and relook at some of the choices we made as Indians in the way we lead our lives, right?
Yeah,
Stray dogs is one issue where you're able to see it upfront here, but there are many things that have led to all the kind of environmental, social, infrastructural situation that you see now, right? These are all birds that are coming to roost now, but mistakes started much, much earlier.
okay, no, but once again, so this is interesting. You're basically saying that this is not a problem that has come up overnight, which is why you
Yeah,
said like COVID, is that
absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
always been part of this thing. Therefore, it would be a knee jerk thing to suddenly sort of, let's
Yeah,
say,
correct, right? So because and the thing is, it's not a one-off problem either, right?
yeah,
Right. These are all interlinked. The fact that our lakes are disappearing, the
hmm,
fact that our roads are the way they are, the fact that there's garbage strewn everywhere in the city, in our cities, right?
hmm,
Yeah. So all these are interlinked, right? Again, looking at solutions, and I don't think these are easy problems to solve at all. If
yeah,
you were to actually look at India's, I would say, rampantly poorly planned urbanization. And by the way, it's not even just urbanization, right? If you go to the
hmm,
smaller towns now,
right,
right, and they don't look any better. And if they urbanized at the
correct,
same rate as our big cities, they would be equally shit. So the problem of overcrowding, which a lot of people point to, and big overpopulation, is not actually the problem. It's something else, because our villages also look dirty. Our smaller towns also look
correct,
dirty and badly planned. So it's something else, right? If you were to now handle this hydra-headed monster, right? Let's say
hmm,
someone came in today and said, "Okay, I actually want to fix India, right?
hmm,
And I wanted to start somewhere." It will. The problem is not going to come by imposing 4 month or 4 week deadlines on one-off problems like the stray dog menace,
right.
because you
Because it could
really,
be
I mean,
linked to like waste collection or waste
it could be
disposal.
linked to waste collection. At best, you're putting a band-aid. At worst, you're doing far worse, because, like I said, you don't want monkeys now to start roaming the streets, because nobody knows how to handle that situation if it comes about. So that's where I'm coming from. But is it a problem? Are there problems that need to be solved? Absolutely, yes. Right.
No, but this is interesting. So you're basically saying in the framework of things, you might still individually arrive at one stance, which
Yeah.
yeah is fine restricted to Instagram. But then, like as like a society, how do we sort of take it forward? Is that you
Yeah.
need to look at all of the interlinkages, which
Yeah.
we didn't to
Which
begin with, which
requires
is what has got us in the mess to begin with.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how it's going to happen or whether it's going to happen, but unless that happens,
Yeah.
you taking the stray dogs away and putting them in, I don't know where you'll put them.
Right.
It's simple question, like, if we all know that ultimately these shelters are not going to accommodate so many millions of stray dogs, these dogs are going to die or they're going to be killed. Who's
Correct.
going to deal with the with the dead bodies of those dogs, right?
Right.
It's not. like nothing has been thought through, right? The usual solution in India is that throw people at the problem, but I don't think anybody knows or has signed up for what kind of problem this is going to give if you try to solve it in this ham-fisted way.
Yeah,
And this you can see even if you're. It doesn't matter whether you're a dog sympathizer or not. From a straightforward point of view, like this doesn't make sense
yeah,
because you've
yeah.
not thought this through.
No, one correction there. It does not
Yeah.
mean that if you are saying street dogs need to go, that you don't, you're not a dog sympathizer, right? It just means that you're sort of stating that there is a priority list to this, and if you were
Hmm.
given a rank priority, this is how I'd assign it. Like we used to have that.
I don't even know.
What
Yeah.
what is the thought process like? You would have like certain famous personalities in a jet plane, and there is only X number of
Hmm.
parachutes. Who would get it? Who would
Yeah.
not?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
shipwreck, one
Shipwreck.
of these things.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not a parachute,
Yeah.
something, lifeboat, whatever. So
Lifeboat.
it's just a thought experiment that way, right? It doesn't
Yeah. Yeah.
mean
Yeah.
that if you say that, you know, in this
It's probably
case,
the biggest problem that I would say. I mean, this is like a grand statement to make, but given that India has 1.6 billion people or whatever, right? It's 1/5 of humanity and counting. All the other populations are going to go into decline before India, right? So our contribution to the world population is going to be even more in the next coming years before it starts to
correct.
go down. If someone can actually, I wouldn't say someone. If many people came together and figured out a way to fix India, right,
Yeah,
in the next 25, 30 years, it would be one of the biggest things that the human race has accomplished. I believe it's that big a problem. And it's not,
yeah.
yeah, like it is a
I
monster that you'll have to attach. And that's even, without even going into, political will and, whether you will get support to do something of this kind and the resources that you need to do something of this kind. But if you get there and then somebody actually makes a ranked list of, the 5,000 things that need to get tackled,
thought, yeah,
the
in
first
this order.
3,000 things are probably interconnected. But
Yeah,
in those first 3,000, I don't think stray dogs will figure out in the first 2,000 things or so.
yeah,
This is the reality, which is why this whole thing seems so
correct,
random.
correct.
That's,
So
yeah,
let me bridge the two. Is that when I said like being like in favor of one doesn't mean I'm against the other in this case. Is that just
true.
going back
Yeah,
to this guy's point, right? Ravikant, Buffalo's point, Buffalo intellectual's point is that like there is part of like the Instagramization of our this thing is that you know being a lover of animals actually sort of
yeah,
imbues you with a sense of coolness in that sense, right?
correct.
Is
Yeah,
that
it's a, yeah,
yeah, it's a fairly easy trope to do, and it's like
correct.
all of these banal quotes like what is it? If a human likes you, you're okay. If a dog
Yeah,
likes you, you're a better human, or some shit like that, right? All of these
yeah,
nonsense. So those are the tropes that I want to fight, saying that loving a animal is great, but I mean making it a personality trait, then you're probably very limited, right? However, just because I say that I am against this particular stance of children being bitten doesn't mean that I don't like dogs or I hate animals, right?
yeah,
That's not
yeah.
a binary that exists.
No, my point of view, I'll just disagree with one piece there. I'm completely fine with people making it their personality trait also.
Yeah,
Right? It's okay. Right? It's fine.
yeah,
Right? It's
yeah.
it's it's, it's
Free
okay. It's
country
what it
so
is.
far.
No, yeah. Also, it's fine if that's something that gives you joy and gives you a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Absolutely, go ahead and do it. Right? And I really have respect for people who do it. Right? Whether you want to take to Instagram and then make it, if you're then doing it for the cred and for the aura that you're building around yourself, uh, then that's where it begins. Like, okay, does everything have to be performative, including
Even that is fine.
if you,
The
yeah,
the
if you want to just yeah, I'm still okay with you being
yeah,
performative about your dog love,
correct.
but then don't come and wade into this discussion with your half baked
Exactly.
ideas,
Correct.
because not only because you love dogs, which might still be okay, but because it is going to give you further work credit, right? So
Correct.
then you're doing
Exactly.
the wrong thing for the wrong reasons, and it is absolutely
Correct.
insidious. Yeah,
Yeah. Loving dogs, great. Showing off on Instagram that you love dogs, great. Works for
also
you.
okay. Yeah,
Don't wade into conflicts and debates
yeah,
with
with the malefied intentions uh, of getting more Instagram followers. Yeah,
yeah. So I said bridging. So this is one part. The second part is among of the things that you said, right? That will someone fix India in the next 25 years? If the Indian government would allow me to, I wouldn't bet on it, right? This comes to the second part of our discussion, which is what you like you said, there are very knee-jerk reactions that happen across the country by people in power, which actually set us back significantly, if you think about it, right? And we are going to, I'm guessing, talk about Dream11 and that bit. So the way to look at things, right? One indicative frame of why should street dogs exist at all in a society. Obviously, you don't cull them right off the bat, but over a period of time, you need to get to a state where there are street dogs. There are zero street dogs. Is that you look at uh, bellwether or a beacon is probably Western democracies, right, where zero street dogs exist, right? What exists there also is the ability to gamble and place a bet or a wager on any damn thing, right? Because it is simply not the government's place to step into consenting adults way of living their lives and saying no, right? That was the other interesting judgment that happened out of the blue, where Dream11's practically sort of lost 95% of its
By the way,
tell.
no, I was just checking since you said the Western world allows gambling. So I just went and saw what is the law in the US, right?
Yeah.
And in the US, it's something that states can decide for themselves whether they want to allow various forms of betting. Apparently, it is state dependent, and they have different types of gambling, and each state decides based on which
Right.
one. So there are some states that allow racetrack gambling and online
Nice.
gambling, but do not allow sports betting.
Nice.
California does not allow either online gambling or sports betting, so
You're
you
right.
cannot actually do Dream11 if you lived in
No, I
California.
think fantasy sports will be allowed.
Oh, now you're getting into the gray area of whether fantasy game is sports
Yeah, yeah.
betting or not. Right? So this gray area of is fantasy gaming betting or not, right? These are all interesting because it's these are constructs that people come up with. What constitutes a game of skill?
Yeah.
What does
No,
not?
but
Right?
but the best part I'll tell you about India is that several states, Kerala being a prime example, promote lotteries through the state
Lottery,
machinery, right?
correct.
Where it's
And
basically
the
like
reason it is promoted by the state is because the state is saying, hey, we are running legit lotteries. We are not going to get scammed by some fly by night
Dream11 is
operator who's just
also
selling you
legit
tickets.
lottery only, dude. Like there is no. See, so basically in all online games
Not
there
for me
is.
to argue, by the way, but yeah.
No, but
I'm
the
saying the
point
logic
being,
of
yeah.
why the state governments in, I think some of the northeastern states also have it, and I
Hmm.
guess Kerala also has it. There was some movie, recently where there's this guy who keeps buying lottery tickets. You can see
Rond.
so many Malayalam films. And Rones only.
Yeah,
Correct. Yeah. No, but the reason why the state runs it is
yeah.
because they are saying obviously it helps the state to get. It's actually the same reason why the state also takes a cut in liquor sales, right? In some states,
Correct,
including in
correct.
Tamil Nadu.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money to be made, but it's also kind of reassuring the public that they are not getting cheated by spurious or illegal activities or
Hmm.
content,
Hmm.
as it may be. But anyway, yeah, digression.
Right. No, but essentially, what I think casinos and any kind of online games would have is that X% of the like staked amount should be paid out as winnings, right? And I think it's like a high
Correct.
90s figure, right? It's not like you can basically keep
Yeah,
the
yeah.
money for yourselves or whatever. So the point being that again, sort of the government has no business in your bedroom, as it were, right? Or in the
Which
space
is
where
it?
it, or on your poker
All the
game.
fantasies you indulge in from your
Oh, those fantasies will be the next to get
those
banned.
fantasies. They
Hmm.
banned a bunch of those apps, no? Those illegal. No, now they're illegal. Apparently, soft porn apps that were running in India.
Yeah,
Apparently, those
Alt
got banned.
Balaji
Yeah.
or something also got
Alt Balaji got
yeah.
banned. Yes. Imagine coming up with a porn app and calling it Alt Balaji. I'm like,
Balaji is the devotional one. Alt Balaji is the
Alt is the
alt
other kind
one.
of devotion.
Yeah.
The devotion of Suspect X.
And also, what's your take
On what? On
on the
whether this should
government
be
just
banned?
randomly like
Yeah,
shutting
absolutely.
down streams of
Yeah, yeah.
businesses and
See,
like
yeah, see. Yeah, there's no space for that kind of shit. I think the government's job, right? Like, and as long-time listeners of Everything is Everything, I abide by Ajay Shah's take on what a government should do. Right, the police state should only exist to ensure the contract and enforcement of law, to make sure that people are safe from other people, right? And that's pretty much all the role that the government has to play. If people want to do things to themselves, by themselves, with their own money or whatever, they should be free to do whatever they want. And,
Exactly.
it's these lines are not that hard to draw, right?
Correct.
It's strange that the people are still grappling with this. And then you go into this, you start with one step. You say, okay, betting on the outcome of a sporting event is betting, and it's pure, no skill based thing. But you could argue that there is a skill there also, right? And knowing the odds, knowing the conditions, knowing, who's likely to perform.
Knowing may happen.
But the point, yeah, anything may happen. But it's a from there to saying, oh, if you pick your entire 11 and then bet money on it, then it is a skill. It's actually a skill, right? Because there are entire analytics platforms and websites now that actually help you do this and do it supposedly well. And then you go all the way up to, you can question whether poker is a game of skill or a game of luck, because at the end of the day, you have cards and you're putting money. And yeah, one way to play poker is to just go all in every time and bust out in
Yeah.
in five hands and go home, right?
That's because you're stupid.
Yeah, but one in 1,000 times you might make a lot of money
Correct.
doing that also. And if somebody has deep enough pockets, be
Yeah.
my friend, go ahead and do it, right? Like who are you to decide what is skill, what is luck? I'm doing something with my resources in my time, right?
Correct. So
Yeah,
now the interesting part is the astute listener who is still listening to this, apparently for some reason, will come and say, "Hey, you fools! You only said your empathy shouldn't start based on who you know, what you see, etc." There are
may happen.
hundreds of thousands of families struggling because the main earner of the family actually sort of indulges in gambling or other wasteful activities and ends up losing all the money that they make in no
Yeah.
time at all. Therefore, it is a social evil. And like your framework, by your own framework, you should be looking at framing laws, thinking of those people, not about your friends who bust out every time going all in.
Yeah, no, then you become a nanny state, right? If you're going to question people's choices with what they do and claiming that you know better than them on how they should be leading their lives, sure, my heart goes out to their families, and
Right,
the solution to that is not to ban, the outlets that they choose,
right,
because it's, the bigger question to ask is why is the lowly wage laborer becoming an inveterate gambler, so to
right,
speak, on a fantasy app?
right.
You've not given him any other opportunity to try and get out of his poverty, right? So he is
Hmm.
trying his luck every night out there.
Yeah,
So why don't you instead fix that rather
yeah,
than saying, "Hey, ye nahi chalega, I'm not allowed."
yeah.
So, yeah.
No, so
I
yeah,
think it's a
to
very hollow argument. Yeah, in my opinion,
correct.
it's a very hollow argument.
Yeah, I only made the argument. So, no, wait, two interesting things here. One is that not necessarily part of the discussion, but I think a very interesting thing that you pointed out is that as a lowly wage daily worker or whatever, you basically continue to believe that fate exists, right? And you're
Yeah,
fateless to the point of you saying that I've lived all this long. There is no one savior or anyone who is going to suddenly make my life better for me. This is all there is, right? And therefore, like,
yeah,
I have few years, why won't I sort of indulge in some things that give me pleasure also, right? Whether
correct.
that is
Yeah,
like drinking country liquor or engaging in gambling at that level. And I don't think there's a value judgment to that, to be honest, right? And
yeah.
your point is because their families are in
And the
trouble,
problem
they'll say,
is, right, once you go down that path, there's no end to it, right? Like, Kaun Banega Crorepati has
hmm,
sort of been subsumed as part of Indian culture, and
yeah,
I would even say India's political climate, because I believe in their Independence Day episode, they actually invited the women, right, who run India's armed forces, who spoke after the operation, what is that, Sindoor, right?
really? Oh, okay.
So they were invited as special guests, and it became a whole nationalistic fervor,
Hmm.
whatever, right?
Correct, correct.
And then there was, of course, the media. Then lots of tongue wagging happened over whether the heads of armed forces should be allowed to come on a private channel's entertainment show, right? Is this the way to whatever? Anyway,
Right.
but my point is the the people who try to and eventually get to Kaun Banega Crorepati. Right? I know this because my father-in-law actually used to do this. You need to call a number, and you need to answer, or you need to SMS the answers to certain questions, and the more you do it, and you have to do it correctly, obviously. But the more times you respond, the more likely that they might actually pick your number and call you to that show, right? And the number that you're calling or the SMS you're sending is to one of those special numbers where you need to pay extra.
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't come under your free pack. So how is that different, by the way, from
Yeah.
buying a lottery ticket,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, sure. The Kaun Banega Crorepati is a game of skill, but ultimately it is a lucky draw
Correct.
to decide who actually makes
Absolutely.
it, right?
Yeah.
And the same government will not only turn a blind eye to something like that, but will actively endorse it by sending their champions of their armed forces to go and be a part of it. Right?
Yeah. Correct.
I'm, for
So-
one here, not at all standing to defend Dream11 or whichever other. I've heard interesting things about Dream11 where some people say that they have bots running in the back. Like, please don't sue me or quote me on this.
They've bought what?
They have bots running in the back.
Oh, okay.
And apparently every day for every match, you
they'll
need
put
to
in
select
some
11,
bots
right?
that
There will be, so every possible team combination is anyway made in the back end.
Okay.
And obviously the one that the point of fantasy gaming is 99.9% of the time the 11 that wins is going to be a slightly counterintuitive 11. It is not going to be the 11 obvious picks.
Yes.
There's going to be one or two,
which is why it's not a game
picks.
of skill anyway.
Or which is why it is a game of skill, however you want to look at it, right?
Yeah.
But the point is, since 99% of the time the one that actually gets created is going to be a random one, they end up, the bot ends up being the one that wins most of the time. So I'm not here, I've never played on Dream11. I don't know if they are legit or not, and I also have heard that their founders, they only got as far as they did because their founders were well connected. But let's leave all that aside.
Yeah. No, but just to take your other argument is that I feel sorry for the family, but it's not my place. Is that essentially we are saying that it doesn't matter who you are. If you are an adult, you are given an equal right to vote in the democracy, and that's the best thing about a democracy, is that everyone's vote counts for equal, which means we are looking at everyone as people of agency, and therefore what they do to themselves, as long as it doesn't hurt another person or infringe their rights, is fair game, essentially.
Yeah. And much like the dog argument, right, where we said just removing dogs out of the blue, it's not going to solve everything else, because it's like taking one thread out and you're soon going to have, other threads unraveling in front of you.
Yeah.
It's the same thing here, right? Just banning these gaming apps is not going to solve anything.
Yeah.
Because these people will find something else, right?
Correct.
They will find their sucker somewhere else. The question is, again, there are 100
we are
things
the
that
suckers.
lead them. We are the suckers. There are 100 things that lead them down this path, where they eventually end up becoming inveterate gamblers or inveterate drinkers or wife beaters or whatever. And if you really wanted to get to the root of the problem, there are 100 other things you need to do.
Right.
And the 101st thing probably would be regulating whether they bet money on games or not. Yeah.
Interesting. I think all of this growing up part is just basically a scam by big therapy to basically say, you want to fix yourself. Your gambling is not the problem. You have a dopamine addiction. If it's not gambling, you will spend it on Candy Crush, or you will take drinking, or you will do something else. Therefore, the real solution is to give your money to therapy and do it every week. Like 3,000 rupees a week. And you can't stop. Like, do it for the rest of your life.
Somebody is going ding dong in your house multiple times. Or is it my house?
No, it's my house.
No, it'll come in the edit.
That is the time being
Reaper. With Reaper, we actually could remove things like this, remember?
What if it's a Reaper ringing the bell?
The Grim Reaper standing outside.
I'm not answering. What will you do? But anyway, so yeah, the real addiction that is acceptable in 2025 is therapy, right? I like spend lots of money, give money to therapy. I think this is a next topic. Do you need therapy, or can you fix yourself? If you can do gym yourself, do you really need a therapist? And other hot takes.
It's not whether I need therapy, whether I can fix myself. Do I really think anybody can fix me? That is the question that needs to be asked. Why would I want to, impose this rubbish on someone else?
And on that note, I feel like we've arrived at the answer to life, the universe, and everything. is therapy,
Yeah.
apparently. So
Until it gets banned
until
randomly.
it gets bad.
And I'll tell you why it'll get banned. Because your Ayush ministry, which is Ayurveda, Unani, and all the other rubbish, yoga. No,
Yoga.
yoga is not rubbish, but yeah, all
Yeah.
the Baba Ramdev health solutions will come up with their own version of therapy. And
Yeah.
then the government will ban Western therapy completely and say only the Ayush type of therapy, which will involve, shlokas and Rigveda and whatnot. Only that will be allowed. Yeah.
This is better because, like we discussed to begin with, conservatives are happier than liberals. Someone who believes in a supernatural thing is better. So, therefore, I
Yeah.
am all for this. Alt therapy, unlike alt Balaji.
Ayyo, ayyo. Have any Guspetias come to trouble you? Guspetias. That word sounds so funny, man. It is like, Pada Guspetia.
The problem with these words is you don't know if it is a Gujarati snack or an insult. Like, what a gujia, if you say.
Is it a Gujarati snack or an insult?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Fafda, like
Abra, don't keep laughing that.
that one.
Abra. Yeah. Misal pav.
Okay, Nitin. Hopefully, every time we say this, the next episode gets delayed. But now that we've ended Leftover Lasagna, we'll be back soon with episode 43.
Yes, this is not the end, guys. So,
In case some people are doubting my cryptic ways of
absolutely.
saying nonsense.
This is not really relevant to the topic that we were discussing,
unlike.
but I should. So, I've mentioned this before. The English film I've watched the most in my lifetime is Terminator 2, which I've watched, I think 30, 40
Because your
times
cool
at least.
uncle had a cassette.
Had a cassette, yes, which we played so many times that the cassette eventually gave up. But then it got screened on Doordarshan at some point, and we recorded it.
Oh,
And then
wow.
we rewatched it several times later. Oh, I used to have a bunch of video cassettes, and I'd taped a bunch of films.
Nice.
Then they would come on TV. And typically, the first time a popular film comes, right, on Doordarshan, there would be a lot of ad breaks. Right? So every 10 minutes, they'll put a 5-minute ad break. So this was actually really bad. I think the late 90s, there was, I think, Indian Part 1, right? Which was a decentish film. It came on Raj TV, okay? And it was screened over 7 hours on Diwali Day. They put so many ad breaks.
Yeah.
And the video cassette can only hold like 3 hours of recording.
Yeah.
And I don't want to record 7 hours of crap. So I remember sitting through that and wasting my entire Diwali.
Pause.
Pausing, restart, pausing, restart. Then suddenly they put half an hour of news in the middle. So news I know will go on for half an hour. So then I go down, burst some crackers, come back after half an hour, start the recording again. But I eventually got the whole of India in
Very
one
good.
of my cassettes. But I digress. So I finally got to show my son Terminator 2 for the first time recently. I thought he's finally reached the age where he can kind of deal with the violence that is there and also appreciate the deeper philosophical questions of time travel. And by the way, the movie is very prescient because a lot of the lines in this film, which came back in 1991, is about the machines taking over the world and all of that, right? So while watching it in the post AI world is its own kind of trip. So the one thing I remember from watching this movie for the very first time when we went to the theater was, so in the last scene of this film is obviously a showdown between the good Terminator and the bad Terminator, and there is a scene where the bad Terminator he freezes because he's exposed to liquid nitrogen and then he just disintegrates, right? And it looks like
Spoiler
he's been destroyed.
alert.
Like there was no way to destroy him. It looks like he's been destroyed. Yeah, spoiler alert in case you've not watched it. In Alankar Theatre in Madras, there was this warning that came, or rather this thing that came, the strapline that came that read in Tamil. Padam innum mudiyavillai, dayavu seythu ukkardirkavum. Basically, they were saying the film is not yet over. Please don't leave. There is more to come. This is one of the scenes that I remember quite vividly from that film. Now, why did I bring it up?
Because our
you said this podcast is over, and I'm just
Picture
giving
abhi bhi baki hai mere dost.
Picture abhi bhi baki.
The interesting thing about.
By the way, have you watched Terminator 2 like at least once or twice? Like,
yeah, I think so. But I don't remember. Like, I just realized I don't remember any of the stuff that I've seen. Like I just rewatched Silicon Valley from beginning to end, and like I mean, I remember like
Oh, it's like watching a new show.
Yeah, it's not like watching a new show. I mean, it's not even like I know what will happen next, right? Like after it happened, I'm like, yeah, maybe I remember, but like absolutely no.
It's
Like,
the same thing that's happening to me now. I'm rewatching Mad Men only for the second time.
Yeah.
Unlike Breaking Bad, which I've seen like some 8 times or
Yeah.
whatever. Mad Men, I'm only watching the second time. There are entire episodes where I'm like, wow, okay, this happened. But
Correct.
it's also the nature of the show. The nature of the show is it's not
Yeah.
a big event show. There are small
Yeah.
things that are happening all the
Correct.
time.
Correct.
And I'm like, these entire scenes I don't remember. Oh, this is what happened. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very,
I
very
think it's quite
clearly,
interesting.
legal has started attending meetings in our life. We have embraced philosophy. But what I wanted to say, Nitin, we spoke for over an hour on this topic. But what will finally get you cancelled is the casual admission that you made that when news played, you went down to burst crackers. Atta, you hate dogs, you burst crackers also. Gone. Finished. This is the end of your any kind of creds
This
you
is where
had
it
as a
absolutely.
woke fellow.
Oh
Might as well
man,
go to
but
sleep.
Diwali back in the day, then man, the amount of fireworks we used to burst when we were kids, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the same where you were, but in like our entire the downstairs, the compound area would just be full of red and white paper,
Yeah.
right? Like
Correct.
full. Like you
Yeah.
literally won't
Yeah.
find one square inch of space, and there'll be like random black marks left behind by the the snake tablet rubbish that
Snake.
we used to do. All that crap. Oh my god! And then
Hmm.
it'll get cleaned out.
It
It's
wasn't
something that I
that big
would
in
look forward to. The
Kerala.
smell of I love
Yeah.
the smell of gunpowder in the
In the
morning.
morning. Yeah. So in Kerala, Vishu was big for firecrackers, but we used to like burst it for Christmas and New Year and all also. So yeah,
Yeah.
and
Madras,
of course
the
all the
real
Purams and stuff like that. Anyway,
Purams. New Year used to have people used to save up a few crackers for New Year, but Diwali was
yeah.
Diwali. Straight.
Okay. On that note, let us wind up this cracker of an episode. We are back.
Thousand Wala. We are
We'll be
back.
back. We are back. So
Yeah.
see you again
Hasta
soon.
la vista.
Hopefully. So Nitin, your summer break has finally ended. No, hopefully.
Yeah, now it's Dubai's become very pleasant. It's like 40 degrees feels like 48. So yeah, the summer is over.
Okay.
I'm not making
On
that
that
up by
note.
the way. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, put your Dubai
Alright.
chocolates in the fridge. On that note, this is us signing off on episode 42. Thank you for staying with us, and please tell your friends to come check out this episode and
Bye-bye
the
and
next
see you all
ones.
soon.
Bye.